I'm just sitting here talking with my mute on. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Hi there. Simon, I was saying you're in Carnegie, right?
Yep, Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh. Yes.
Yeah. And who's behind the mask at Rockwood?
Hello, it's Judith.
Oh yeah, hi Judith. For some reason I don't recognize you with your mask on.
Yes, I have a really bad sore throat, and so it's
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to see you all.
Yeah, good to see you. Hi, Evelina. Hi, Matt. You can reach the document that I just shared. Yeah, okay, good. Hi, Gretchen. Just wait a few minutes for others to join. I got about 10 yeses and then other people show up, so I figured at least 10 people. Matt, do you want, when we start, do you want to go over the just what we've been doing for the convening so far, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, I can.
I hope a few more people show up. Here we go. How is everybody? Does everybody want to give like a, I don't know, 6-word story about how you are right now? Something challenging, or just one word.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Marcus. Hi, Kevin.
Oh, man.
Hi.
Still under the weather.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to, look, just feel free to keep your camera off if you want. Do you feel like you could stay here and?
Yeah, I'm gonna hang out and see how it goes.
Okay. All right. Feel better.
Thanks.
Oh, I like these little stories that are popping in here. Oh, that's 7 words. Okay, well, maybe we should get started. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And we figured I'm working with the program committee, who's coordinators and some other volunteers who've been helping to work on the convening, and Matt and Nick and Marcus are all part of that. And Matt, maybe you could just give folks an update on what we've been doing.
Yeah, sure. So, we've been meeting, I guess every other week we've kind of stepped up our meetings, and really thinking about what this convening is going to be, trying to set out an agenda, also trying to come up with some talking points for administration as to, why folks should be sent to this. And then, not so much me, but really Christina and National Writing Project folks are working on how that money is going to be spent, and how the plane tickets will be purchased and things like that. So some of the more logistical stuff like that. But yeah, we're really just trying to figure out how to get the most people there. And so all of us have kind of been reaching out to different folks as well. I see Kevin, emailed Kevin the other day. And so thank you, Kevin. Glad you guys can make it. So yeah, one thing we've been doing is just trying to drum up that support and get people to the convening in Chicago in June. And Christina shared the agenda and kind of some of the stuff we've started working on in more detail in the chat there. I think it's like the first thing in the chat. So I think that sums it up. I don't know, Marcus or Nick, anything I'm leaving out? I feel like you can read more of the details and I just be rambling at this point.
Yeah, I think for those of you that are interested, that are looking at the agenda, it's still fairly rough, but I think the structure of the day is pretty accurate, and it's just gonna be a really good day that will be, inexpensive for us libraries to get up there to sort of reconnect and kind of reinvigorate and just, talk about some things that are really, really local to us as YOUmedia sites.
I think we were also hoping that folks would already be up there maybe for ALA. I'm at a science museum, so I was not going to be there for ALA, but for library folks, hopefully it ties very closely to that, and folks were already going to be in town and could, further justify the travel, I guess, because it's so closely tied to that conference. So yeah, in a great way, because we've been talking about how long it's been since we've actually seen each other in person, not just via Zoom. So a good way to kind of invigorate the community of practice.
So I guess we were thinking that today's conversation could really be about this opportunity, whether it's questions that you all might have about logistics, which I can help to answer as we're just helping, get the money out the door, basically, is what the writing project's helping with. And as this team is working on the agenda, this is an opportunity to give some input into that agenda. For example, I know Nick and Matt have been thinking about the afternoon and sort of a set of unconferencing opportunities. And then Marcus and I have a meeting with Mimi Ito next to see, if there's sort of, if she's able to attend and maybe talk about the hallmarks. That got a nice reaction. So anyway, so we're sort of actively working on stuff, but we'd love your input and thoughts and dreams and hopes and all of that. So just like Quaker style, you can just unmute. I'm not going to call anybody. I'm from Philadelphia, so I always talk about Quaker style, but that means you just speak when you're moved to speak.
As the spirit moves you. Yeah.
As the spirit moves you, exactly.
I learned something new here in Pacific Northwest. We call it popcorn style, like anybody just kind of goes. I don't know if we'll be there, but I was just thinking of, in the morning, we all start really energized for conferences. We're like ready, meeting new people, everything's fun. And then I feel like after lunch, everything just goes blurred. So I don't know if there's a way for those unconference to have some sort of kinetic like movement for people to kind of walk around, wake up a bit. Some sort of activity that gets them moving, not just the bingo where you go to people and you talk to them about stuff, but some sort of like meaningful activity that can be related to the kind of work that we do and sort of experiencing that ourselves. So many times I see projects that I'm working on with teens and I get to be on the side of the instructor, but not the participant, which is really different. So I'm just curious about that because I feel like that would help that slump that we all know happens after lunch when we're at a conference.
Thanks, that's good feedback. We'll certainly, we are hoping to have many sessions that are going on and they're sort of short kind of almost like, and you can get around and move, but I think we'll try to be really sort of intentional about making sure there is some movement through the space and moments for folks to chat in the halls, that kind of stuff. And dance party transition is not a bad idea. We could probably get a DJ up there. That's a great idea. Let's write that down.
We had a colleague who used to lead dance party breaks. Like when we'd take a break, we'd have a dance party.
What did that look like? Was it like a whole song, or was it just like a 30-minute like or 30-second like musical chairs kind of thing?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a musical interlude. You know, you could walk out of the room and take a break, or you could, you know, dance for about a minute or two and then leave the room. And she sort of had these songs lined up for the transitions.
Well, that's great. Yeah, let's do that. Thank you for putting that out there. May I ask, since you said that doesn't seem like maybe anyone from Rockwood would be there, I'd be curious to know sort of what some of the challenges sites are having with getting somebody there, especially, you know,
I mean,
if there's anything you can illustrate. Go ahead, Gretchen.
yeah, so I can speak to that for Rockwood. Part of it right now is just our staffing situation. We're still pretty thinly staffed and are bringing on more people, but it's not, I'm going to be out of town during that time. And then we can't like spare someone else at the same time. But another thing in kind of a more like forward-looking way of thinking about it is because we're part of a giant bureaucracy, we have to get conference attendance approved like months and months and months ahead of time. And so not finding out about this sooner makes it really challenging for us to be able to send somebody because it wasn't part of the like official conference approval. And so if we're doing future, I know that a lot of this is just kind of like everyone's getting started after the pandemic and kind of like reconfiguring and finding a new future. But for future years, the farther out that we know something's going to happen, the more likely we are to be able to participate.
That's good feedback. I think Matt, I feel like you may have even mentioned that was kind of a challenge for you. And I know for me,
Yep.
Same kind of deal, like we put our stuff in a year in advance, but sometimes I can sneak through, but that is not, yeah, I think I've certainly heard other people say that.
Yeah,
for
this
sure.
year it's just specific to us because of where our staffing situation is. And we're also going through like a reorg right now. And so just like everything's messy. We have to sit this one out, but we're super excited about the future.
That's fair. That's fair. That's good feedback. What about the other folks that are on the call? Is anybody else bumping into challenges that are maybe like have not been sort of addressed yet? I'm just kind of curious because I'm also like Matt and Marcus. I'm kind of trying to dig around and find some sites that we've not heard from in a while and kind of try to invite them to go. And it's good for us to know these challenges ahead of time.
Yeah, I think I'm able to go, which is great. But again, like if it was a little earlier, I think our planning at CLP is happening at the same time that this planning is going on. So there's a lot of like back and forth and like trying to juggle who's paying for what. But otherwise, yeah, I'm really glad to be there. There's something else I was going to say. We also have staffing issues, so I'm hoping that next time I'll be able to bring someone other than just myself as well. So I'm really looking forward to that too.
Yeah, it'd be great to see more folks, like from a couple people from each site in a perfect world, I think. But that might be something we have to plan like 2 years in advance, I know.
Yeah, teams are a nice way to attend something. The buddy system, right?
Yeah, and just a note on timing too. I think, a lot of this was kind of the whole idea was kind of contingent upon Chicago getting the money. And so that's kind of why we are a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as, planning a year out. And I definitely face the same challenge, Gretchen, as you did, because it has to be within the fiscal year. And I hadn't been approved for this conference this fiscal year. But if it had been a week later in July, totally cool. Like, so it's one of those things. But just so everybody has an idea kind of why the timing is, but totally agree. The sooner the better. And the staffing thing, yeah, I feel that too. I may not even be there. I'm going to try to be there as best I can. But if I'm sending one of my staff at least, and maybe I'll be there as well. I hope to be. So, yeah, feel those challenges for sure.
Well, I think the good news is nobody has piped in and said they think it's a bad idea. So that's good.
Yeah,
No,
I
what
love,
I
well, go ahead.
Oh, no, Simon, go ahead, please.
I just want to add that I really appreciate that you are looking into doing this, and that like I'm really excited that this is happening. I've missed meeting people in person, and that like that you are able to provide some funding really has made it so that I am able to attend, and probably helped me attend ALA as well. So I really appreciate what you guys did.
I was just thinking about how when knowing that not everybody who wants to be there can be there, I was thinking about how might we sort of document and collect and share back with the whole network afterwards. So just something to keep in mind too.
You know what I would love for more conferences to do is to give me different ways of accessing information. I know that the default is let's send the recordings. And so many times we just don't have time to watch those because we are in programming and, working with our teens who are our priority. But I'm wondering if maybe there could be different access points. Like maybe one of them is like, I hate to use this phrase, but it's the closest to the meaning I'm trying to convey. Quick and dirty guide of like, here's the top 5 things we talked about, and that's it. But then if you want to get more into it, like, okay, here's notes from each of the sessions. And then here's the recording so that people can choose how much time they have to dedicate to it. And I just wish that maybe something to think about, because like I mentioned, just the default recording is not something that works for me personally, maybe some other folks, but me.
I love that idea of just like a top. I wish conferences would do it at me. Like, here's one page, a little paragraph about the top 5 things that seem to have come up.
I think this would be a good opportunity to kind of reinvigorate the COP website as well, right? Not just the convening of us socially, but and we could put all of those things on that COP and really start using the new site. Because we have the new site, and right now even as a program coordinator, I'm not using it much, to be honest. So maybe if we had and we pointed people to that, that would be good.
I know in the morning, there was a design, there's a group working on a design so that all the labs can bring something to share. Is that, Marcus might not be feeling great. I think Marcus was working with that team. I don't know if there's anything to say about it yet, but there is an idea to be able to share, for everybody to bring stuff. I mean, not carry stuff. We don't want you to carry stuff, but.
Yeah. So yeah, I had created a Google form. It's kind of broad right now, and it could be trimmed down a bit to look at maybe 3 or 4 areas that we could curate. So like, for example, if it's something that we can use like if it's a video or audio file that we need to check out, we can, create those QR scan codes and have that where people could check that out in the studio area, either on their phone or have listening devices available. Same thing with artwork. If it could be digitally displayed and, in a slideshow or something like that versus a hard copy, that might make sense to bring. So just I'll link to it so you guys can see, because it's quite broad. But I wanted to kind of narrow down the categories a bit. Well, I'm in the bed right now, so I'm not going to get up
Oh, I'm sorry, Marcus. Thank you.
to pull it up, but I will this afternoon
Okay.
forward it.
Okay, great.
I'll just say this too while I'm talking. Just for me, this is huge because just in the face of seeing a lot of organizations and a lot of websites that's promoting this type of work that are not actually practitioners, that's one of the big things for me that I see happening right now in this landscape. It's a lot of purveyors, but not practitioners. That's at the top rung of this thing. So I think it's significant for us to make sure that we continue to stay in the fray of this work, especially since so many of our organizations was at the genesis of it. Also, too, for me, particular in Kansas City, we're just now, with our team space, we're just now getting to the point where we're brokering conversations for adult maker spaces. And so, Matt, what's your title again?
Director of Maker Education.
Yeah, that might be in my future
Awesome.
in Kansas City as we level up the work that we're doing. So just for me in particular, to be in on this work at this level has raised the profile of the DML within our own library, because it's like we've been doing this for so long and they just not believing in us. So.
Kevin, did you unmute a little bit ago? Yeah. Go
Yes, I
ahead.
did. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and first introduce myself. So I'm Kevin, and I'm actually new to this role. It used to be Janine Shorter that was our lab director here. So I would piggyback on what Gretchen and Simon said before. 'Cause I'm sure everybody had like challenges. For us here, definitely we had like a lot of staffing changes. We've lost a lot of people, and part of it is like my previous supervisor. She was the last lab director here, and I applied for her position, and it kind of just like got passed on to me. So I'm the director by title, but I really feel like I'm not really like comfortable. I'm not really don't know what I'm doing right now. So I'm just really excited to hear about the conference and the opportunity to be able to attend it in person. So I probably will be able to attend, and I'm possibly be bringing my colleague. So we're just looking forward to it, and hopefully finding, finding like knowledge and practical things that, we could definitely bring back home here and apply. Our programs in general, like youth and even adults and teens, it just like ceased when we had the shutdown, and it remained like that for probably a solid year and a half. So we really just got back to in-person programming last September. And with the staffing levels that we have, we still are not able to go back to the level that we were doing before. So with that challenge, and also with this too, it just adds up to it. But I'm definitely excited though. I want to step up on my role and be able to promote YOUmedia and our principles to our programs. And hopefully we'll be able to reach out to our teen patrons, because we've lost contact with pretty much all of them. Like we try to bring in some simple teen programs to them, but we really don't get a good turnout as of now. But I'm hoping to be able to change that, with the help of our other youth associates in the system. And thank you, Matt, for reaching out about the conference. So hopefully, again, we're looking forward to attend it and learn more about the organization.
Yeah, of course. And I was going to say, Kevin, you should just reach out to me directly if you want, and feel free
Okay.
to set something up. You guys are close in Norfolk. So if you guys want to come by the Science Museum, see what we've got going on in the mix, because it has been probably, 3 years since I've talked to anybody from Norfolk, really.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, please feel free to reach out on your own timeline whenever.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Kevin, there will be, appreciate you introducing yourself and talking about, kind of your situation. And I just wanted to say that we definitely expect other folks to come who are both really new to their positions and are really either in a complete startup phase, either because of pandemic or because actually they're just starting anew. So, it would be it would be helpful to hear the kind of things that, you said some of them that would be valuable to you, and what you feel like you would need to, what you'd really hope to get out of it. So I heard you say a few things that I wrote down, like you want to be able to promote YOUmedia when you get back home, but also reach out to teens. So those are a couple of things I noted.
Yeah, and it's also so we just had our makerspace open here in my location. So initially, when we signed up for YOUmedia, it was our Slover library, which was our main library at the time. But I think a little bit after that, have been some major changes. So they're really not a part of us anymore. So it kind of like we didn't have a space, and then now we have our own makerspace here at my branch that just opened like 3-4 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
So hopefully that we'll be able to, and it's also interesting because it's not an exclusively teen space. When my previous boss was here, her vision was for it to be a teen, like teen exclusive area. But because of where the money was coming from, they wanted to justify that it will be able to reach out to more people. So it got changed to like it's everyone's makerspace. So like all ages really. So that's kind of like a little tricky situation there, but definitely we're still going to be able to use it to promote like teen programs, teen initiatives and such.
Kevin, we're looking at a sort of similar, not the same, but sort of similar transition coming up for Multnomah County Library. There's going to be a lot more creative learning spaces opening up across the system. And ours has always been very teen focused. And we've also done stuff for adults and tweens, but it's been very teen focused. But the new spaces will also have like a real mixed audience to them. So I'm excited to like hear about how that goes with you and maybe learn together.
And this will be a great topic, I think, for our afternoon unconferences too. We have thought about maybe we should talk about the all ages aspects. Like you all, we're getting into that as well. So I'm glad to hear that a lot of folks are tackling that.
And stuff like family access too, I think, because I think at least in public libraries, we've been so traditionally on like there's adult programming and there's teen programming and there's children programming, and like you don't go to the thing that's not for you. But especially in the community where we work, there's a lot of like mixed age things, or like parents and kids do want to do stuff together. And so thinking about how to give lots of different kinds of opportunities that work for different families and that like really meet our community's needs.
That's a good way of framing that, Gretchen. We have also been discussing like, oh, well, we have adult programming and children's programming and teen, but we haven't really said, let's just look at family and how do we get a child, a teen, and an adult all working on the same project at the same time. That's something we've not discussed. So I love the way that you framed that.
There's also, Simon, you also commented in the chat, the sort of real big differences between over the last 3 years in your space too, right?
Yeah, and I feel like there was some conversation at the last YOUmedia as well about a lot of challenges of what this looks like in the post-pandemic world and like all the changes that happening at all our locations. So
Yeah.
it'd be great to talk with other folks that are having similar things and seeing how we're adapting.
Hi, AJ. We'll give AJ a chance to log in here.
Here we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I apologize for my tardiness. I
No worries.
was helping a patron and ended up being a little more than I expected. So I apologize.
No, it's great to have you here. There's a document that has kind of information about the convening, both logistical and kind of an emerging agenda.
Mhm.
And there's several people in the call who are working on many of the details of the agenda. So the first page has all the details, and the second page has notes that from things we've been talking about so far.
Okay. Awesome.
And AJ, do you know if you're able to attend the convening?
Yeah, I think that, let's see, when is it again?
June
I
21st.
already talked to Kelsey and a couple other people about it, so I do think that I'll be able to come to the convening. Yeah.
Great. Well, this is your opportunity to give any input if you want to into what will be happening there.
Oh, awesome.
So feel free to.
Sorry, I will try and hook up a camera. My computer is not cooperating right now.
No problem.
Hopefully, yeah, my camera's not hooked up right now. Let's see. Okay. Did I miss all the intros and everything?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
maybe we can do an end of call re-intro since we have some new people on. I also came in a couple minutes late, and I think I may have missed a few of you.
Awesome.
Want to kick it off, Nick?
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, so intermission rather, intro. So I am Nick. I am from Studio MPL in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm the studio manager there. I'm gonna kick it I'm gonna keep the ball moving, so I'm gonna kick it to Matt since he's next to me.
Unmute. So I'm Matt Baker. I'm from the Science Museum of Virginia and run our maker education programs here. The Mix is our teens only YOUmedia spot. And I'll pass it to Simon.
I'm Simon Rafferty here at the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh. I'm the STEAM Learning Library Services Supervisor, which used to be digital learning, used to be part of the labs if you're from the old school. And we call this popcorn style here, and I'm gonna popcorn it or kick it off to Gretchen.
Hi, I'm Gretchen. I work at the Rockwood Makerspace, which is part of the Multnomah County Library in Oregon. And I'm going to do some local nepotism or whatever and pass it over to my colleague, Judith.
Time saving, right? Not nepotism. I'm Judith Guzman Montes. I work in the Rockwood Makerspace with Gretchen. And we have another buddy, Karen, who you don't see in this meeting, but who is wonderful. Hello, Karen. And I'm going to pass it on to, is Marcus still here? Yes.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Awesome. Go for it.
Marcus Brown, Kansas City, Missouri Public Library. Our space is called the Kansas City Digital Media Lab. It's a teen exclusive space, and yeah.
I'm going to pass it from Marcus to Kevin.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, my name is Kevin Holguin, and I am the Youth Services Supervisor here at Pretlow Branch in Norfolk Public Library, Norfolk, Virginia. And also my title is the Lab Director. I'm looking forward to growing in this role and be able to deliver more quality teen programming to our patrons here. And I'm gonna pass this on to Evelina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Evelina. I'm a teen specialist at the St. Paul Public Library. I am AJ's sidekick at Arlington Hills CreateTech site. AJ, you can go now.
Sidekick, really? She's closer to my boss than I am hers. I'm AJ. I am the manager of the Arlington Hills CreateTech site, kind of the foundation site of our CreateTech and the SVPL, and the library assistant manager here at the Arlington Hills Library. And this group is a lot bigger than I thought that it was. Is there anybody who didn't get it kicked? Or am I last?
I think we got everybody but Christina.
Yeah, I think I'm last.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Cantrell. I actually work for the National Writing Project, so I'm not in a library at all. I mostly work with teachers, but the National Writing Project has been a thinking partner with YOUmedia for many, many, many years, because we are a peer network, a network of peers who learn and grow with each other. So NWP is, the Writing Project is helping with the administration of the grant funds. The grant funds came to, were raised by Chicago YOUmedia, which is pretty awesome, from their library foundation. And then we're helping the Library Foundation distribute the money nationally. So we are the ones, myself and my colleague Kathleen are the ones who will be taking in the RSVPs that you all send us here. I'm going to put a link to the RSVP form in case you need it. And we'll be helping you with flights and hotel logistics and all that. And I'm putting a link to the RSVP form in case we still need to hear from you. I'm checking who we have heard from.
If we need to make any changes to the form, do we just email you?
Yeah, that would be great. Here, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to do it. And CreateTech. Okay, good. We have a note that you want to send 2 people. So it just helps us, even if you don't know exactly who you're sending, it helps us to know how many, because what we're trying to do is make sure every lab can send at least 1 person. And then if we think there's going to be leftover money. So, we'd love to send a 2nd person if possible. Okay, I think that's it for intros. So does Evelina or someone else want to give AJ a sense of where we've gotten to so far?
I can jump in. AJ, we have sort of covered, we briefly looked over the kind of rough agenda. This is the agenda that the kind of convening planning team has been working on, and that's the one that's posted here, right, Christina?
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically we're looking at kind of doing like a morning sort of meet and greet, and then some share out in some way from branches, poster sessions or actual artifact kind of share out. And then moving into hopefully sort of a keynote, maybe by Mimi Ito, our the godmother of the YOUmedia Network, perhaps would be a way to frame that. Some lunch, and then kind of an afternoon, lightly structured unconference session where we would have multiple sessions that were just sort of user driven or visitor driven going on at the same time, and we'll rotate around, and so that we can all kind of discuss things that are on our mind versus sort of being corralled into just kind of topics that the committee kind of decides. So we do have a number of topic starters there in case we need them. And we also, this group here also came up with the idea of doing some music as transitions between sessions to kind of have a little bit more life and a little bit more energy in just moving around the day and keeping the energy going, because this is going to be a one-day thing, but I think it's going to be a very packed day, and I think it's going to be an emotionally I don't want to say draining in a bad way, but I think we're all going to be visiting old friends, and it's going to be exciting and kind of fun. So I think that was a good addition to this day. So if you have anything to add, questions, concerns to the agenda, anything you're really interested in talking about that perhaps I can add to our unconference kind of ideas list, this would be a great time to do it.
No, I was just looking through the doc and just kind of looking at what you guys posted.
Yeah, I know there's a lot there to
Yeah.
look through, and like we put you on the spot kind of in 2 minutes, so don't feel pressure.
It's all good. Yeah. How often have you done this in the past?
Is this our third that's not a what do we call those, resource retreats that were a little bit different, Christina?
Yeah, resource development retreats. This might be the third gathering,
Yeah.
but that's over
In
a
almost
long
10
period of
years.
time.
Oh, okay, so it's not like you've been doing it for the past like few years or something. Gotcha.
This is going to be a lot of new faces, I bet. I've not seen the RSVP list, but
The last gathering was probably trying to, I don't know, it's close to almost 10 years, isn't it?
Oh,
No, 5
was
years.
Austin? Yeah, Austin was, yeah.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years ago.
And then there was the YMCA of the Rockies where we did a resource retreat, and that was like
Mhm.
2018, I want to say,
okay.
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Be
So
a fifth
definitely
year.
pre-pandemic, we
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
seen each other, yeah.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to add is that, Chicago YOUmedia has a lot of branches. I forget how many branches they have, but there's actually like YOUmedia, smaller YOUmedia sites all over Chicago. And the staff at branches will be joining for the morning of this event. So the morning will be a lot bigger than the afternoon. The afternoon will be sort of smaller groups that can really dig in. And the morning will be, get to meet people doing this work all over Chicago too. So.
And as long as we're on the sort of topic of the attendees, if I can just ask the group, this is a long shot, but as some of us are out trying to shake the bushes and try to find some YOUmedia sites we've not heard from in a while, I guess I just wonder if any of you have like a YOUmedia buddy at another regional site that you check in with from time to time. And if you do, if you have a good contact, I think Matt or I or Christina would love to know it. Or if you just want to reach out and say, hey, remember, this is coming up and they're paying for it, that would be useful. I think there's a few sites. I know that I've heard from a few people that say, oh, the emails are getting shuttled into the junk folders from Outlook and that kind of thing. So
I guess that's true. Like email, they don't know who Kathleen is. They're coming from Kathleen. Okay. That's a problem.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I think Tuscaloosa, if anybody specifically knows anybody in Alabama, that would be great. I've reached out to them. I'm going to try a different avenue next, but yeah, kind of silence from Tuscaloosa.
Oh yeah. I think I got Tuscaloosa and Birmingham mixed up. I think we did just hear from Birmingham the other day. But yeah, Tuscaloosa has been a nothing.
And maybe shameless plug to do reporting data too, I guess. Also came from Kathleen. I have not done it yet either, but I've started it all. So, you know, getting the reporting and the membership stuff done too.
I'll put a
And
link
we do,
to that. Yeah.
yeah. And we do have a session kind of roughly planned in this convening that if anyone is interested in talking about how to make the reporting, I don't know, smoother or more relevant to them, you know, we can all share our ideas.
Yeah, I should say that the way that the network kind of is governed and reports to each other was designed by the network itself. You know, more like back in 2017-18. So we've been doing that process, but it definitely could use some updating. And, you know, the survey, the reflection and reporting work, we tried to capture some of what happened during COVID and what actually, and use that for some grant. You know, we use that both to learn as a network what's going on, but also for grant applications and stuff. So it is important. It is really helpful to get sort of a view into the network, but if it's too onerous or too hard for people to do, then that's not so helpful either, right? Because we've only been getting about 50% reporting, more or less, 50 to 75% reporting. So how do we actually learn from each other on a regular basis and kind of have a sense of what our reach is, and, you know, so that we can, you know, apply for funding and, you know, think about YOUmedia as a network as a whole. So those are some questions that would be great to discuss at the convening too. And how do we stay connected as I mean, Gretchen, I see your note in the document that, you know, having an online space like the COP community would be so helpful for new people, but also I think for people who've been in this mix for a while, we haven't been using it all that well. So now's our chance.
Can I just jump in and say, and this is not for necessarily right now, but before we do leave, I have an unrelated question to the convening that I also am going to put on the forum, but I'll throw out here when it's a good time.
Well, is there anything else that people want to talk about? I know Marcus and I, if Marcus is up for it, and otherwise I can do it, but we'll have a chance to talk to Mimi and see what's possible, whether she can come or not. But are there any particular things you would want to ask of her or hear from her? If she could, that's one question.
I would like my co-attendee perhaps to just hear briefly about just the inception way back when, that would be sort of interesting, I think. And then perhaps also how, I'm looking back on like the Hamago book, and a lot of it was like kids are using cell phones now, and like how do we kind of work within that ecosystem, and like how those same kind of principles, how have they grown in the 10 years that the technology has grown, or how is she seeing that?
I love that question. I know that Mimi and Amanda Wortman have been, and they're both based at University of Irvine these days, University of California, Irvine. They've been working on a project with rural sites, rural labs in Rhode Island and Washington to help them set up YOUmedia connected learning spaces. So I think they vary, whether they're maker spaces or they're media labs or what they are exactly, but also looking at the issues of doing connected learning and Hamago work in rural libraries. And I imagine these are places where there's really just one library in the whole, there's not a library system, it's a single branch. So anyway, that's some new work that they are doing. So I think that would be interesting both to hear how Hamago has changed in terms of the technologies, but I was thinking also about how it might change in contexts, across contexts, or what they're seeing when they're working with smaller places.
That'd be very interesting to hear from someone from a very metro urban library system.
Okay. So it looks like we're still waiting to hear from Hartford, from LA, Octavia Lab, from Loveland, Colorado, from Billings, Montana, from Philadelphia, which I think I put on my list, and Houston and Birmingham. So if anybody knows anybody at those labs, just encourage them. And they can always just reach out to me too, if that's useful.
Is Houston's the art museum, right?
That's the art museum. Yeah.
Art museum, right? Okay.
I wonder if it might be helpful, Matt, for you to reach Jen there, just because it's a non-library space again.
Yeah, I can reach out to, is it still Jen there?
Yeah, it's still Jen.
Oh, okay, cool.
Jen Bernadette.
Yeah, I'll reach out.
Okay, great, thanks.
Mhm.
Well, if no one has anything else for this evening, it sounds like Nick's got a question for the group.
It's more of a poll question, and for somewhere in my mind, I feel like Rockwood maybe have this as a thing. But I've been being asked. I was recently asked by San Francisco, or somewhere outside of San Francisco, one of those communities, if we, then they're trying to set up like a lab similar to this. If we do, what's the term I'm looking for? Like not a disclosure form. like a user form? Like, does a user have to, I'm not explaining this well, but do they have to sign something that says if they chop their finger off on the 3D printer, they won't sue? Does anyone use one of those? We don't. You guys do in Rockwood? See, that's what I thought. And is it a
Sort of.
form that the kids can fill or out, or?
See, that's okay. At my last library, which was like a small little public library, we had to have a full like, we won't sue the library kind of thing that their parents had to sign. But I really like that here at Rockwood, we don't have anything like that. What we have instead is a makerspace agreement that our teens sign. And they're basically just agreeing that they'll be good community members in the space, that like they'll help other people, they'll attend to safety things, they'll let us know if something's broken. They'll use materials wisely, whatever. It's more about like being a good member of the community than it is like a release of liability.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. I mean, that still creates like a sort of self-policing, but like there's not and I think that's a great idea, but there's not like a legal form per se.
No, I had
Okay.
to do that at my last
But
library.
you did have that at your old library.
Yeah,
and
because
parents would sign it.
Yeah, I mean, we were part of a city rather than like a county system, and we had a very like risk averse governance structure. And so we
Yeah.
had to have meetings with like our insurance company when we were getting this space started, and we had to have meetings with like the legal team. And what came out of that was this like big disclosure form and like this big rules thing, and everyone had to have like kids had to get a parent's signature to be able to participate. But it was also like a small community where kids didn't often come to the library without a grown-up, and so we figured out how to make that work. Whereas I feel like here in this more urban environment where we see teens and so frequently don't see any of their grown-ups, that would be a lot more of a deal breaker here.
Yeah.
And I'm really
That's a big-
appreciative that
big
Multnomah
gate.
County is not so risk averse that we can't invite young people in.
And do you mind me asking what the other system was, just in case that the
Oh,
San
it wasn't
Francisco
a
branch
system.
wants to talk?
Yeah, it wasn't a system. It was the St. Helens Public Library in St. Helens,
okay.
Oregon.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well, she's close to that, so thank you. Anybody else have anything similar to that?
We have a consent form for our mixed teens. It's very similar. It's basically a code of conduct, that they sign. We do, if they're under 18, which most of our participants are, we ask that their parent allow them to join the mix, just because we give them a membership to the museum. So we do need to have like their parents' information and stuff.
Gotcha.
Because they get a full membership to the museum, an individual membership, so they can get through our pay structure. Because unlike a public library, it's not just, can't just drop in, walk into the museum for free. So they've got to go through the front desk, and, it became a hassle, like getting questioned all the time. So we just came up with a different membership tier essentially for them.
That's great. That's good to know. I did wonder about that for libraries, or for museums.
Yeah, and for the Forge, the Forge is our family, all ages, cross-generational makerspace. And, we're using drills, and for our 18 plus crowd, we've got a table saw, bandsaw, laser cutters, all the good stuff, CNC router. And we don't make anybody sign any kind of release form for those, because as a member of the museum, they've already done that, I guess, somewhere in the line. So when we met with all the legal folks, and we're a state museum, so we had to go to the state attorney general to get all this like sorted. They're like, yeah, well, really, you don't need that kind of form because it's not legally binding anyway, and they can sue us anyway. So they're like, don't waste your time because you can still get sued.
Yeah.
So, just use best practices for safety and you're fine. Yeah,
That's great. That's good to know. Sweet, cool, thank you. I will share this with them. And I saw Simon's thing, can't even use hot glue guns. That would be killer. Our hot glue guns are going 8 hours a day in my space.
Yeah.
When I was at the New York Public Library, they were so risk averse that we were not allowed to do any kind of physical activity with young people without a parental consent form. And they decided that meditation was physical activity, and it just made so many things impossible.
I mean, isn't taking a book off a shelf a physical activity?
I
You
talked to
get
them
some
at
of
one
those
point.
manga ones that are like this thick.
I know. I mean, I was talking to them about how we let kids who were like 13 and older get their own library card. And the legal team was like, well, if the library were starting right now, we wouldn't let them do that. And I was just like, oh my God.
Wow, that's wild.
New York
Man, I'm
setting,
glad-
New York. I mean, we hope to have some New York folks there as they're starting up in YOUmedia. So
I mean, that was
interesting.
also like not 10 years ago. It was like 7 years ago. So I don't know, maybe things are different now, but I gotta go. I have another meeting. It was really nice chatting with all of you.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
Gretchen.
Gretchen. All right, thanks for everyone's feedback. I appreciate that. I will send that on to this library branch when I remember where it is.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks you all for input on the convening. And Marcus, are you up for this meeting with Mimi, or should I take it myself? We're meeting with Mimi actually right now, so I should jump to that.
All right.
All right.
All
Maybe
right,
I'll
have
see you in
fun.
there.
See everybody
Okay.
soon.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
y'all. Have a
Bye-bye.
good one.